If you get a Social Security or SSI check, stop scrolling. Like, because this July, your payment schedule is not what you're used to. Three changes are hitting your account this month, and if you don't know about them, you could be blindsided. First, your payment date might move. Because July 4th falls on a weekend this year, one group of beneficiaries gets paid a full day earlier than normal. Second, SSI recipients, listen closely. You're about to get 2 deposits in July and 0 in August. I'll explain exactly why, so you don't panic when your August check doesn't show up. And third, if you use a Direct Express debit card, the bank behind it is changing, and that affects how your money gets loaded. I'm breaking down all 3 changes, the exact dates to watch, and what you need to do right now to make sure your payment isn't delayed, lost, or flagged. This is information the SSA won't text you, so you need to hear it before your next deposit hits. If you or someone in your family relies on Social Security, hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach more seniors who need this before their July payment arrives. Let's get into it. All right, so let's get right into it because I don't want you missing a single detail here. Every single year, Social Security makes small adjustments to how and when payments go out, but this July is a little different and honestly, a little more confusing than usual because 3 separate things are lining up at the exact same time. And if you're the kind of person who just assumes your check will land on the same day it always does, this is the month that assumption could actually cost you a few days of waiting, some unnecessary stress, or even a scam attempt if you're not paying attention. So let's slow down and go through this together, piece by piece, so you walk away from this video knowing exactly what's happening with your money this month. Let's start with the first change, which is all about timing. Normally, if you're someone who started receiving Social Security before May of 1997, or if you receive both Social Security and SSI together, or if you live outside the United States, your payment usually shows up on the 3rd of the month like clockwork. That's the pattern you've probably gotten used to over the years. But here's the thing about July 2026 specifically. The 3rd of the month falls on a Friday, and that Friday happens to be the observed federal holiday for Independence Day. Now, Independence Day itself, July 4th, actually lands on a Saturday this year, and when a federal holiday falls on a Saturday, the government shifts the observed holiday to the Friday before it. That means Friday, July 3rd, becomes an official bank holiday. And because federal benefit payments can't be processed on a bank holiday, the Social Security Administration has to move that payment earlier to the previous business day. So instead of your payment landing on the 3rd like it normally would, it's actually going to hit your account on Thursday, July 2nd. Now, I know that sounds like a tiny detail, maybe even something you'd brush off, but think about it from a practical standpoint. If you've got bills scheduled, automatic payments set up, or you're just mentally budgeting around a specific date, a shift like this can throw things off if you're not expecting it. The good news is this isn't a delay, it's actually an early payment, so your money isn't late, it's just arriving a day sooner than the calendar date you're used to. But if you go into July still expecting funds on the 3rd, and they're not there because they already came in on the 2nd, that mismatch can cause a moment of panic that's completely avoidable if you just know the schedule ahead of time. Now let's move into the second change, and this is the one I really want you to pay close attention to, especially if you or someone you love receives Supplemental Security Income, also known as SSI. This one trips people up every single time it happens, and it's happening again this July. SSI payments are normally issued on the 1st of every month. No complicated birth date rules, no tiers, just the 1st of the month like clockwork. So this July, your SSI payment goes out as expected on Wednesday, July 1st. Nothing unusual there. But here's where it gets interesting. August 1st, 2026 falls on a Saturday. And just like we talked about with that bank holiday shifting payments earlier, weekends do the exact same thing to SSI payments. Since SSI can't be paid on a weekend and the 1st of August lands on a Saturday, the Social Security Administration moves that payment earlier too, all the way back to Friday, July 31st. What that means, practically speaking, is that if you receive SSI, you are going to see 2 separate deposits land in your account during the month of July. One on July 1st, which is your regular July payment, and another on July 31st, which is technically your August payment arriving early. I cannot stress enough how important it is to understand that the July 31st deposit is not a bonus, it is not extra money, it is not a gift from the government to help you out, it is your August payment just showing up a day early because of how the calendar falls this year. This matters so much because every single year when this happens, People see that second deposit, assume it's some kind of surprise payment or an error in their favor, and they spend it as if it's extra income. Then August rolls around, there's no SSI payment at all that month because you already got it in July, and suddenly people are caught off guard scrambling to cover rent or groceries or medication costs because they spent money that was actually meant to stretch across an entire different month. So please, if this applies to you, budget accordingly. Treat that July 31st deposit exactly like what it is, your August money, and plan your spending as if August simply doesn't have its own separate payment, because it doesn't. Now, for the third change, and this one is a little different because it's not about timing, it's about the actual system moving your money. If you're someone who receives your benefits through a Direct Express debit card rather than direct deposit into a bank account, this next part is specifically for you. The Direct Express program has been run for years through a particular financial institution, but the Treasury Department has announced a change to who actually handles that program behind the scenes. Fifth Third Bank is stepping in to replace Comerica Bank as the financial agent responsible for managing the Direct Express card system. Now, I want to be really clear about what this does and doesn't mean for you. This is a change happening at the institutional level, meaning it's about which bank is managing the infrastructure and financial back end of the card program, not necessarily something that requires you to run out and do something drastic today. But anytime there's a transition like this between financial institutions, especially one connected to how millions of Americans receive their federal benefits, it's exactly the kind of moment scammers love to exploit. Picture this: you get a text message or an email out of nowhere saying your Direct Express card is being deactivated, or that you need to click a link immediately to verify your account before the bank switch happens, or that you need to call a number and provide your card details to keep receiving your payments. That is not how the Social Security Administration or Direct Express communicates changes like this. Real government agencies and their financial partners do not text you demanding urgent action. They do not ask for your card number over the phone out of the blue, and they never ever ask you to pay anything using gift cards, cryptocurrency, wire transfers, or cash to fix an account issue. If you receive anything that pressures you to act immediately or threatens that your payment will stop unless you provide personal information right away, that is a massive red flag, and the safest move is to hang up, close the message, and instead go directly to the official Social Security or Direct Express website yourself, or call the number printed on the back of your actual card, not a number given to you in a suspicious message. Now, beyond these three specific changes, I want to zoom out for just a moment because there's a bigger picture happening around Social Security this year that's worth knowing about, even if it's not something that affects your July payment directly. There's been a lot of conversation in Washington lately about the long-term health of the Social Security Trust Fund. According to the most recent trustees' report, if no changes are made by Congress, the fund is projected to be able to pay out somewhere around 78% of scheduled benefits by the early 2030s. Now, I want to be really careful here because headlines love to turn this into scary, misleading claims about benefits getting slashed overnight. That is not what this means. This is a long-term funding projection, years away, and lawmakers have plenty of options on the table to address it before anyone's current payment is affected. Your July payment, your August payment, your payments for the rest of this year, none of that changes because of this ongoing policy conversation. It's simply something worth being aware of as background context, especially if you hear people online making dramatic claims about Social Security disappearing or getting cut immediately, because that kind of language spreads fast, and it's simply not accurate to what's actually happening right now. There's also a cost of living adjustment that took effect this year, bumping benefits up by a percentage to help keep pace with inflation. And for seniors specifically, there's a new deduction available on federal taxes for those who qualify, which can meaningfully reduce what you owe depending on your income level. These aren't dramatic, headline-grabbing changes, but they're the kind of quiet financial details that can genuinely put a little more money back in your pocket if you know they exist and you plan around them properly. So here's what I want you to walk away with from all of this. Mark your calendar for July 2nd if you're someone who normally gets paid on the 3rd. Expect and plan for 2 SSI deposits in July with none coming in August if that applies to you. And if you use Direct Express, stay alert for scam messages trying to exploit the bank transition, but don't panic about the transition itself. None of these changes are meant to hurt you. They're simply shifts in timing and administration that happen every single year in one form or another, but they only cause problems when people don't know they're coming. If this video helped clear up any confusion for you, or if you know someone, a parent, a grandparent, a neighbor who relies on these payments and might not have heard about these changes yet, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps this information reach more people who need it before their next deposit lands, and that's really the whole point of making this video in the first place.